What's up, everybody? Welcome on Inno One Soccer today. Andy, Ollie, Wheels, Jordo with you guys. What a night! Have we warmed up? I'm not going to ask you that, Wheels, because I have a feeling you were in a warm booth. The
No,
game, BMO Field, Toronto, or were you
the
cold?
windows were wide open. I didn't complain. I asked if a last minute adjustment could be made, and I was told no, deal with it. So
Were you
I
chilly?
went with it.
You were
It's
chilly.
chilly.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's okay.
It was a wee bit chilly. It was, you know what it is? I don't mind the cold. It's the sleet, it's the rain.
Yeah, right. Hold on.
Okay, so I mind the cold as well.
Okay, yeah.
I minded everything. But let me tell you something, guys. A night like that, weather like that, I can tolerate it when Canada walks away with a victory, which is exactly what they did against Panama 2-1. So that was the international friendly at BMO Field, back in the win column, by the way, at BMO Field, because we know almost a year ago was the last time they played at home. Also happened to be at BMO. That was against Jamaica. That was a loss. And that ended a 17-game unbeaten run at BMO Field. So back in the win column for them. Let's talk about that match. And I'm wondering if you were, were you happy with their performance, Ollie? Because there is some mixed messages. We discussed it, Jordo, during halftime as well, where it just seemed like it was a little stop and go for Canada. It wasn't maybe as pretty as they would have liked it to be. But at the end of the day, they win. And in particular, Ollie, it's Kyle Larin and Jonathan David scoring, who we've been asking to score.
Yeah, that's I think what you are most happy with, along with Moise Bombito's performance. I don't think it was a vintage performance from Canada or one of their better ones under Jesse Marsh. I kind of thought that might be the case coming home and having a game where you have to be a bit more kind of the protagonist and take more of the ball. I think that's going to be an interesting challenge for Canada in these types of games, including the one coming up now against Suriname. But two big positives for me. Bombito, who you guys covered in depth, was fantastic. Like, just what a gift this kid has been in terms of a centre back that Canada has been dreaming of for some time, in terms of the profile of the player and the ability that he appears to have. Nice might not be the limit for him, because he's just that talented and is brilliant to watch. And then the other big positive for me, Larin and David, but in particular Jonathan David, I thought was excellent on the night. That first goal is maybe not the most glamorous side of the game, but the way he leads this press and his attention to detail in these types of pressing moments, Canada walks Panama right into a trap here. I think this is a very deliberate setup from that goal kick, and it creates a goal. So when you're not maybe creating as much as you'd like in possession, sometimes those are the moments you need out of possession to trigger chances, and David was right at the forefront of it.
That was a great pass by Ali Ahmed as well. As we take a look at Canada's another goal here by substitute Liam Miller coming in and assisting.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Wheels, just what did you like about even how these goals looked?
Jonathan David, what an amazing player. He's got on some runs in his this very young career of his, but the way he's playing right now is another level. He created that goal, held off the player, played the ball through to Miller, and the way that he opened up those hips don't lie. Buried right. I mean, that is an outstanding goal scored by Jonathan David. I'm going to start off with the three positives, and I'll be as quick as I can on this. I think we can say with certainty now that Canada now has 3-star players. It's always been David and Davies, and we've thought that maybe another one would step up into that mix. Maybe Tejan. Kone kind of looked the part, but now I think we can say that Moise Bombito has star power written all over him. I'm willing to go there. What's the most incredible part about this is that he's 24 years old. That was just his 50th cap. And the first 4, by the way, he played in the midfield.
I know.
for this Crazy. Canada team. It's a player who's played 45 professional games. That's it. 41 if you take away MLS Next Pro. I'm not sure how you feel about that. He is so early in his career, but that performance, and every time we see him play, whether it be for club or for country, he just gets better. His speed, his physicality, his quality on the ball, he has it all. I think the fact that you're adding not only a center back, but a 3rd-star player into the mix for Canada, it's a difference maker for me. He's a difference maker, and it makes me entirely confident in this team going forward. Beyond that, you have very good players. You have role players. We have players that still have room to grow, but I think those 3 players are quite certain that they're absolutely stars. Secondly, I think go ahead, Andy, if you want to jump in there.
Well, I was going to say, as you know, the end of the night neared and we were getting ready for our post-game show, you came and screamed at us, "The Eraser." Is that your nickname?
The Eraser.
Bombita?
He
I was like,
he
what
takes
is
away.
Wheels?
So many times strikers think that they have a look or they have space, and he just takes it away. He's the eraser. Moise Bombito, the eraser. The second thing, I thought you guys were rather harsh on the team at halftime. I didn't think that they were that bad. The conditions were difficult with the wind. The pitch wasn't great. Panama was putting, 10 players behind the ball at all times. But the second half was very much a struggle for Canada when they're playing into the wind. Panama brought on some of their better players. That Panama side, that was nowhere near their best team. That was what was a little bit troubling about the overall performance. But I think it says something when you win when you're not at your best. This is a scenario for Canada in the past when they weren't playing that high level. They wouldn't be able to come away with the win. And the fact that they did on this night, I think that speaks volumes about the different ways that they can go on and beat a team, and the fact they have match winners like Jonathan David in this team. Look around the region. There are very few teams that have a player like Jonathan David that can go on and win a match almost by himself. So I think that speaks volumes. And secondly, just to Ollie's point, like just playing in transition, both goals came in transition again. It's clear that that's Canada's identity. They're better playing without the ball than they are with it and just attacking quickly. And I think that we saw more of that. So that part of their game continues to be reinforced and continues to be impressive.
Okay, so you and Ollie are sounding more like you're happy, obviously, with it.
Yeah.
Jardo, bring it home.
Yeah, I'm happy as well. I still think the first half lacked rhythm. I agree with Wheels. Like I maybe we were harsh.
Yeah.
I was one of 4 people that was speaking about it, and I think that the mentality
Wasn't
that
great.
Canada should come with, it wasn't
that
there.
bad,
However, I landed the plane by saying this is the third time in 11 matches with Jesse Marsh they scored 2 or more goals, and that's what I cared about. Pre-game, I talked about Golazos, right? Halftime, I said there's going to be more goals to come. Then they won the game. Playing this game as well, I don't go into the locker room after a win, a 2-1 win, where you're 1-1, and then you go and get the second goal in the diamonds of a match and say, man, we weren't that great on the ball today, guys. Shucks. I go and say we got the 3 points. Bring on Suriname. This is how you feel, and that's the vibe. Quickly about Moise Bombito. I don't care what anyone says. Worldwide, a 1v1 situation it favors an attacker tenfold. You have to go backwards as a defender. You have to close down space. You have to wait until an attacker moves predominantly before you can go and react. Moise Bombito looks comfortable. Someone's running at him. He's literally, I see him back up and I think, push it. Go ahead. Push it. Go left. Go right. Once he shifts his hips and gets that arm across you and you see him, watch him closely. Players will slap his hand. He'll put it up again. It's like me when I used to go against my older brother that was 5 years older than me. Push it one way, and I thought, oh, I had him. No, little brother, puts it up. That's how he goes against grown men. Yeah. He is just a joy to watch the way he goes about his business and defends. But I agree with Wheels. I agree with everyone that's talking about Moise Bombito right now. What a player and what a star performance that was. So I'll feel good.
You can't play it over the top. You can't play it over the top against Canada because
so
Bombito can track back, Davies can track back, the eraser, and it allows them to press aggressively the way that they do as well, Jordan.
Yeah.
That's also the thing. It makes the team better.
We need to give a shout out too for Cornelius, who has wheels, maybe not the same way as Bombito, but he is aggressive. There was a time in the first half he cleared the ball with his head and went and pressed it as well. Like, he is full steam ahead. The way that Canada plays, it is infectious. It's a joy to watch.
Well, and that header, it's so funny because that was something that, John Conway brought up. As a goalkeeper, he notices when a center back does that. KJ then asked Derek Cornelius about it post-game, and he's like, nobody talks about the center backs when we do things like that. Thank you. And here we are giving them their love. And this one's for you, Wheels. You try to get past Bombito. No. How about that?
Oh, wow. You had your greens this morning. Hold on. No, we got you.
You've been hanging out with me way too long.
You've been having some caffeine, greens.
I can hear Wheels in my head now. What happened in my life? He's in my head. I'm like,
what's happened with my life? I don't know if I'd go there. It's not awful. It's a reach. It's like a Tyrannosaurus Rex reach with short arms.
You're just jealous because you're going to use that.
He's the eraser. No, he's the eraser.
On November 15th, you're going to use it. Let's talk about November 15th in just a moment. That's the next time we'll see them. But just quickly, maybe we can go down because you're all happy with the performance, and why wouldn't you be with a victory? And then to your point, even with adversity, maybe not playing their best, they find a way to score and win. But what's missing? Do you think something's missing there, Ollie, that you still think they can work on?
Yeah, we touched on it already. It's their play in possession. You know, almost all of the goals they score, a lot of the best chances they create, not just in this game, but going back since Jesse Marsh took over, they're an excellent transition team, and that's great. Like that's not something to be sniffed at, and that's clearly, I think, always going to be the strength of this team, just with the profile of players they have and the amount of pace they have in the side. So I have no problem with that being kind of the primary identity of this team, but I do think their play with the ball, their ability to build up, create chances through kind of slower, more sustained passages of play. That's something that they're still working on, and it's not quite there yet. And I think they will need it if they're really going to ascend to achieve the kind of things they want to achieve in 2025.
Wheels?
I agree with that. A little bit more specific. Some things I do think there are questions to be asked about where this team will end up being, just in terms of the squad makeup. I do think there's still a question of who the number one goalkeeper will be going forward. I do think that
Really?
the answer. I don't think that it's that Crepeau's locked it up. I think that center back depth is something that we still really don't have a good feel about. I think
Mm.
central midfield, the makeup there's some question marks there. Who's that depth striker going to be behind David and Laren? It was great to see Kwesi Poku come into the game. Obviously, if you haven't been paying attention in Canadian soccer stories circles, this is a Canadian soccer success story and shows you the work that's going on behind the scenes to create opportunities for young players. Congratulations to Poku and the preferred players in wide areas down the right and the left. Ahmed Schaffelberg, fine, but is Buchanan in the mix? Is Miller in the mix? Is there someone else to come into the mix? I don't think that that's settled. But to Ollie's point, the number one gap or thing that's missing in this Canada squad is they don't have a number 10. They don't have an attacking midfielder that can pull the strings in a little bit when you play a team that puts 9 or 10 behind the ball. They need to find that player, because I think they need to have a different look. They're going to go up against at least one team at the World Cup that they're going to be expected to win. They're going to be expected to do something in possession against them. It's going to be tight and cagey. And right now, they don't have that player. Perhaps it can be Ismail Kone. It might require for them to change the formation a bit. But right now, they don't have that profile of players in number 10. It's the biggest thing that's missing right now.
Jordo?
Yeah, it is missing. I think about all the time if you switch and go formation 4-5-1 and you try to add some of that. I don't think right now or playing Panama you could have done it because you didn't have that profile. You look who came onto the match, right? Osorio came on for Chouanier, and then you had Saliba that came on for Eustaquio as well towards the end of the game. Those players could play a 10 position, but then it just brings me back to the point that you're sacrificing someone. I understand you got to keep ball possession. I understand that that's probably a weakness for Canada right now. But then it's like the two players to go and score that goal, David, Laren, are in those positions because you're allowed to kind of play that 4-4-2. So maybe you're sacrificing one, but as long as they're getting goals in the back of the net, I totally agree with Wheels in terms of you play different teams that sit back in CONCACAF. You need to find different ways to beat them. But I don't know if Jesse Marsh is willing to sacrifice that. I don't know if I was coaching, if I would sacrifice that as well. You want to keep your best players on. I would maybe stick with the two up top.
All right. Well, with that, as we know, even though it was a friendly, guys, the CONCACAF rankings mattered, and based on the win and how everything played out in other matches, it's going to be Canada versus Suriname in CONCACAF Nations League quarterfinal. So first leg will be in Suriname, November 15th. Second leg, November 19th. They'll be back at BMO Field. I got to give this one to Ollie because Ollie, I feel like it was yesterday. March of 2021, when
no.
Canada was beginning their quest to qualify for 2022 World Cup. And in the first round of qualifying, they faced Suriname. You said Canada can beat, like they can beat them. They can win this. And people said you were nuts, that you were nuts. We all know now
Ollie,
what happened.
the prophet.
But I remember this. People were going crazy. We posted that clip on YouTube. Hand to God, we posted it on YouTube. And people were going after Ollie, saying he was nuts that Canada saying that Canada could beat Suriname. And here we are. What do you think now of this rematch?
It's kind of crazy that was like there was ever like that much doubt about Canada getting past Suriname,
Yes.
and it wasn't that long ago, and now you see where they are. So I'm not going to start having respect for Suriname now. I expect Canada to win this game and win it comfortably with no problems at all. What I would just say about this game is that, like, that Panama game on Tuesday night was a friendly. It did not feel like one at BMO Field, and it very rarely does with this Canadian men's national team right now. So I hope people get out and don't worry about the opponent or how appealing the quality of the opponent is. You're coming to watch Davies, Bombito. I hope Ismail Kone is back in time for that one. Like, you got to get out and watch these guys when you have the opportunity to do so, because the atmosphere at BMO Field and hopefully when this team plays anywhere in Canada is always excellent. There's a real connection between the team and the players, and it's a really exciting team to watch. So I hope the stadium is packed out for a really big game for Canada.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Let's just, John Herdman laid it on thick when it came to Suriname. Here's a direct quote from back when, before Canada beat them 4-0 in World Cup qualifying. Suriname are a completely different team now. They're a top 6 to 8 team in CONCACAF in terms of quality of play. He was selling it. They do have some good players. Like Sheraldo Becker is legitimately like a top player. He would start for
They're
Canada.
Not a bad side.
He would. They're not a bad. They have a lot of players that are playing at a decent level across European football. It's just an awkward opponent. Out of the teams that they could have played, probably the least exciting, if we're going to be honest. But at the end of the day, Canada just needs to go out and beat them. Get into the semifinal and move towards winning a trophy. That's what it comes down to.
Put yourself in a position to take on an opponent like that, right? Because the winner does go on to the Final Four, which is in March, and they have a chance at a trophy. Again, 2000, last time they won one. Let's get now to our Visa Women's Report. Gentlemen, the women will be playing Spain October 25th. And really the only announcement, we could take a look at the roster. I don't know if there's any surprises for you guys, but more than anything, they did announce joining the coaching staff would be Caitlin Collar, who is the head coach of the Vancouver Whitecaps FC Elite Girls, and Diana Matheson. They will be in supporting roles. As we know, Bev Priestman still suspended under investigation for the drone usage. So as we look at this, I don't know if you want to talk about the roster, if we want this investigation to hurry up so we can have an answer, because we don't know what's going on with this coaching staff, but Ollie, take it away.
I feel for them. I feel for the players most of all, because I think they're in limbo. They named this coaching staff. There isn't actually, I don't think, like an interim head coach who's been named. It's just kind of a group of coaches. So I guess are going to take this camp. I imagine Andy Spence will be the one to lead that as kind of Bev Priestman's first assistant, as he did at the Olympics. But they're waiting for this investigation to wrap up, because I think we all know that Bev Priestman's not going to be the coach of this team going forwards. But I don't think they can really do anything in terms of firing her or starting the process, at least publicly, to hire a new head coach until that due process has been followed and the investigation is complete. So they kind of seem to be at the mercy of that process right now.
Yeah. It's a tough one, because that's exactly all I want to talk about, which is, I know it's unfair, but when you don't have those answers, and I know Canada Soccer in some ways is at the mercy as well of this third-party investigator, but you just hope we have some answers soon. That game will be October 25th, 2:45 p.m. ET, right here on One Soccer. All right, gentlemen, let's get to our Tony Bet top picks. In the CPL, it's the outcome. In MLS, it's decision day. That is also happening this weekend. Let's take a look at some of these picks here. Wheels, you got Real Salt Lake, Whitecaps, the Canadian teams we'll look at, CF Montreal, NYCFC. So the Whitecaps are in, but CF Montreal, they are fighting to stay into that wild card spot.
Yeah, they need to win here. They played New York City FC over the weekend, and I don't think it ends well for CF Montreal, at least in terms of this one game. Montreal's done well over recent weeks to put themselves back in the playoff mix, but they're going up against the New York City FC side. They've won 3 games in a row. Alonso Martinez, 4 goals in 3. Santi Rodriguez, 3 in 3. And New York is playing for something as well. They have a chance to move into 4th, depending on Orlando's result this weekend. And New York City is just one of those teams that owns Montreal. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. So I like New York City FC plus over 1.5 goals in this game at plus 165. That's
what. And what about Vancouver, Whitecaps, Real Salt Lake?
Well, Whitecaps have a chance to move out of that play-in, kind of that wild card game. Just in recent weeks, it hasn't gone well. I think the total set way too high in this game 3.25. The Whitecaps are the third best team in Major League Soccer from a defensive perspective on the year. And Salt Lake did just one combined goal in their last 2 games. This game means something for Salt Lake. They're level on points with Seattle, so the game means something for both. I just see it being low scoring, tight, and cagey. And that's what Vancouver's actually a better away side than their home side. They've picked up 25 points away from home, just 22 at home. So I think they can go out and maybe get a result here, but it's going to be low scoring. Take the under.
You guys feeling the same way about CF Montreal here? You think they're going to be out, Jordo?
When it comes to betting, I back Wheels every single time. Maybe unless if Man U's playing Arsenal, but Wheels does the research. Wheels knows
I
MLS.
wouldn't bet on United. That wouldn't. Come on.
No. Yeah. What about you, Ollie?
Crazy
How
is
you
smart.
feeling?
Unbackable.
You think CF
Yeah.
Montreal's going to miss out on the final day?
I'll try to be optimistic and say CF Montreal will do enough. They don't need to do a lot to get in, but they are just vulnerable if they lose that game because their goal difference is so poor to Philadelphia and Atlanta. Philly do have to play Cincinnati, who are obviously a good team, but they're
home.
locked into third place already. So it really depends on the approach of some of those teams that their rivals are playing against. Whitecaps, they've been a good road team this year. I think it's been BC Place, which has been more of an issue. So I'm hopeful for them that they can get what I think is a much needed win, not just to maybe move up a place, but to end on a positive going into the playoffs.
This is just me saying we're either going to say bye-bye
Sorry, I'm just taking
or
us
hello.
over time.
No to these teams, but we do have to say bye-bye.
You
Thanks for
say
tuning in, everyone.
goodbye, and I say hello.